ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ
So Guru Sahib Kirpa Karan, Guru Sahib may he bless us with the wisdom to reflect on his Bani, on his wisdom, and how we can implement and introduce these concepts into our lives. So ਜੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਮਾਤਿਆ, ਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਗਿਆਨ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਜੀਵਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਆਉਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ, that's what we're going to talk about today. So the title or the subject of today's discussion is Mind Over Matter. So those who joined the workshops, the work groups earlier, you'll know we were talking about Baba Deep Singh Ji. It was his birth dhyara in the last few days. So when he took birth, around about the 26th or 27th of January each year, we all know what the great feat of Baba Deep Singh Ji was. ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਨਿਸ਼ਾਨੀ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੈ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਨੂੰ. If anybody wants to Google Baba Deep Singh and leave the Sikh sites aside for 1 second, even Gorean the websites, when they talk about historians, when historians talk about great warriors of the past, Baba Deep Singh is always mentioned as part of that. That's such an amazing feat he did. And in the workshops, we talked about some of these great feats, so the Jivan Kiddadi, see what type of life he led. And that is the reason why we're talking about the subject matter today, mind over matter. Because dunya kade soch nahi sakdi bhi koi banda is tarah kar sake. Nobody can ever imagine for 1 second that our history that is littered with all these Gursikhs, Guru Sahib himself performed amazing feats, transformed so many people. But even the Gursikhs, the same Sikhya that Guru Sahib lived by, the same example that he set, Gursikhs lived by those ideals also. So how did an armed banda become a Gursikh, and how did a Gursikh then become a Khalsa, and how did the Khalsa leave the world shaking with how far they took Guru Sahib's bachan, Guru Sahib's life, Guru Sahib's Gurbani, and Guru Sahib's lifestyle. So how far they took that. Kitte tak chale gaye si. Baba Deep Singh you will know about, है ना. ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਆਮ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ, ਪਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ did say this. ਤਾਂ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਵੀ ਵੱਡੇ ਭਾਗ ਵਾਲੇ ਜੀਵਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜੀਵਨ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ, ਕਈ ਜਨਮਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਭਗਤੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੋਈ ਆ, ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਇੰਨੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਸੀ. So they say even if you did so much bhakti in your last lives, and somehow these very special souls were born that already had so much kirpa, and they were able to sort of cross so many barriers and display so many miraculous things. But Guru Sahib sanu dasde hai that everybody, Gurbani je aapa padhiye, if we try to understand what Gurbani is saying, he says that everybody has this capability and the potential to grow and be so spiritually high that you're almost on the same level of the pinnacle of what mankind can become, what a human could be, the perfection to which the mind can meet Guru Sahib, connect with Guru Sahib. He says everybody has that potential. So mind over matter. Sada mind, sada man ki ya bi inna takada ho sakda bi ਆਪਾਂ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਪਾਸੇ ਮਾਰ ਹੋ ਸਕੇ, ਦੁਨੀਆ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਚੇਂਜ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਆ. ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ saying so. ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਹਾੜ ਚੱਕਣਾ ਪਵੇ, if I had to put a mountain upside down, if I had to make the rivers flow backwards, I would do that for ਜਿਹੜੇ ਭਗਤੀ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲੇ ਆ, for the Gursikhs if they really needed it. So if Guru Sahib is willing to go that far for those who have developed their spiritual self, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਭਗਤੀ ਕੀਤੀ, ਜੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਇੱਥੇ ਤੱਕ ਕਰਨ ਨੂੰ ਤਿਆਰ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਪਹਾੜ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਪਵੇ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਪਾਣੀ ਪਿੱਛਾ ਨੂੰ ਵਗਣ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਪਵੇ, ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕਿਹਨੂੰ ਕਰਨ ਨੂੰ ਤਿਆਰ ਆ ਆਪਣੇ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਭਗਤੀ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਲਈ. So that means the more we spiritually develop, Guru Sahib becomes closer and closer to us as we become closer and closer to him. So I'm going to focus on 3 things today over the next hour or so. One is, what does the world say? What does the dunya say? What does the medical world, what does scientists say? What is today's educated populace? What do they say about this mind over matter? ਵੀ ਸਾਡਾ ਮਨ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਤਕੜਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਆ, ਸਾਡੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਤੱਕ, ਸਾਡਾ ਜੀਵਨ ਤੱਕ ਵੀ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਇਫੈਕਟ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਆ. What does the dunya say about this? ਫਿਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੇਖਾਂਗੇ ਵੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ. In Gurbani, what does Guru Sahib say, or what does Sikhi say about the state of our minds? How much can it be elevated? How much influence can it have on our life, on our body, and in our surroundings as well? And then we will talk about, if we add the two together, if we look at what Gurbani is saying and recognize the truth of it, then in our average lives, how can we fit it in day to day? How can we develop ourselves further? Because that's what Guru Sahib's Bani was here for. Bani is to transform mortals into angelic beings. That's what Guru Sahib's wisdom is here for. Us normal human beings, Guru Sahib wants to transform us into angelic beings. Devte paida karna chaਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਮਨੁੱਖਤਾ ਤੋਂ. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, let's have a look. ਇਹ ਕੋਈ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਆ. You know, these so-called miracles. Now we think that's so far-fetched. ਵੀ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਕੌਤਕ ਸਨ ਉਹ ਇੰਨੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਉੱਚੇ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਇੰਨੇ ਦੂਰ ਦੇ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਸਿਰਫ ਭਗਤੀ ਵਾਲੇ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਸੀ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਖਾਸ ਕੋਈ ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਭਗਤੀ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲਾ ਕੋਈ ਜੀਅ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਇਸ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਵੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਇਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਹੱਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹ ਤਾਕਤ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਬਖਸ਼ਦੇ ਆ ਸਾਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਅਤੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਸਾਇੰਸ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਮੈਡੀਕਲ ਵਰਲਡ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਸਾਡਾ ਮਨ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਤਗੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ ਹਰੇਕ ਬੰਦੇ ਦਾ ਮਨ ਵੀ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਇਨਫਲੂਐਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਅਤੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸਾਇੰਸ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਆ ਫਿਰ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਅਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਦੂਰ ਦੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਆ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਇਆ ਭਾਈ ਮਨੀ ਸਿੰਘ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਇਆ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤਾਂ ਆਪ ਹੈ ਹੀ ਸੀ ਜੋ ਕੁਛ ਹੈਗੇ ਸੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਾ ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ ਦਾ ਰੂਪ ਆ So if you had these great Guru Sikhs, they were in their place, Guru Sahib's in his lofty place. Where do we fit in with that? Are these just some really tall tales, like old wives' tales from back 300-400 years ago? How is that relevant to us today? How is it possible a man can walk with his head in his hand and continue a battle? How is that even possible? So are these some sort of really, really far-fetched, miraculous tales? And it's not relevant today. In the modern world, when we're more educated than before, and what does science say about this kind of thing? So that's what we're going to explore, and we're going to go stage by stage. So first of all, mind over matter. Sada man a dunyavi jo sada sareer ya te dunya ya kithe fit kardi ya. Well, what we do know is one thing. Jara banda na pareshani ho janda that person who is quite worried and stressed in his mind, what's the first thing you feel? We all know ਜੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਮਨ 'ਚ ਕੋਈ ਫਿਕਰ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਸਰੀਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਕੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ what do we feel in our body? The thought is in the mind, but the feeling is in the body. So ਜਦੋਂ ਮਨ 'ਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਪਰੇਸ਼ਾਨੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ when we get a bit worried in our mind, we get that feeling in our stomach, don't we? We call it butterflies, or some sort of release of chemicals happens and we feel that really odd feeling in our stomach. I'm a bit nervous. I'm a bit worried, and I'm feeling my stomach's upside down. So there's a direct link there right away. ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਮਨ 'ਚ ਕੁਛ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਤੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਹੋਇਆ. So what is that? So the medical world knows that if a banda is happy, if a person's happy, or if a person's worried or stressed, what then manifests in the body? What chemicals get released, and how does that make you feel? Not in your mind how you feel, but even in the body, physically how you feel. So there's such a direct correlation of somebody who's overjoyed and the release of chemicals that happens there. Somebody's in shock and what types of chemicals get released in order to get the body ready for fight or flight. And if somebody's really stressed out, what does that mean? What type of chemical sort of releases are happening in the body? So je dekhya jave, sada man da te sareer da, our sochini, our thinking, and our physical self has such a strong link that it's almost hand in hand. It brings me on to something that Guru Sahib says. Those of you know about the Bani called Basant Ki War. It's getting to that time of year now where we're about to hit springtime. The Guru Sahib in this Basant Ki War means these poems about springhood. The springing out of flowers, the rebirth of the plant kingdom, and even us, we're related to the plant kingdom as well. We are, ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਨਾ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਜਾਨਵਰ ਜੀ ਜੰਤ ਕਈ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਆਪਾਂ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦਾ ਜੀ ਹਾਂ. We are also a species on this planet. Species of plants, species of insects, species of the animal kingdom. We belong to that. We're part of it too. So when they are affected by spring and summer and winter, our body, our mind is also affected too. The Guru Sahib ne Bani uchariya Basant Ki War, and in that he says loads of different things, but the one that I want to focus on right now is Rog Sog Sab Mit Gaye Nit Namar Naroa. And what astounds me about tuks like this, words like this, Rog means a disease or illness. Sog means depression, anxiety, or some sort of sadness. Sab mit gaye, nit nawa narawa. You're forever rejuvenated and new again. In the same way, ਜਦੋਂ ਨਾ ਇੱਕ ਦਰਖਤ ਮਰਦਾ ਆ in the winter, in the ਸਰਦੀਆਂ ਦੇ time ਤੇ a tree starts to wilt and wither away. But in springtime, it just rejuvenates and reborn again. And Guru Sahib says we have that capability too. But I get shocked still though. What is this miracle? That really, rog, sog, sab mit gaye? Does that mean some diseases or all of them? Does that mean, physical, or does it mean mental? What does it mean? Rog, sog, sab mit gaye, Guru Sahib says. Hai? So it requires reflection. It's a bit powerful, that statement is. We could say, Bitusina Bani Pado, you'll get better. And somebody with a bit of faith might think, yeah, maybe I will. And somebody with a bit less faith might say, I'm not so sure about that. I'll try it though. Hai? I'm not sure how reading Bani is going to fix my illness, but I'll try it. You get all sorts of people and we all have different levels of faith, right? But if we look at what Guru Sahib is saying, he's not saying maybe you will, or if you really concentrate, you will. He goes, Rog, Sog, Sab Mitige, Nit Nava Naroa. Forever you will be rejuvenated. So that's a really powerful statement. And the Basant Ki Wat starts off by saying, Harka Naam Tyai Ke Ho Harya Pai. So he's saying by concentrating in meditation, Naam Simran Karke, go on then, Ho Harya Pai, do it, and become green again, be rejuvenated, flush again. The plant kingdom comes back to life again in springtime. He's saying to you, your body, your mind as well, to see, we ho harya pai, har ka naam te aike ho harya pai. Do it and become it with such conviction. And if we accept or begin to appreciate that what Guru says is true, if Guru Nanak Dev Ji came from Akal Purkh, and Akal Purkh created and triggered everything, and Guru Sahib himself says, Satgur ki bani sat kar jano gur sikho har karta aap muh kadai. So recognize Gurbani as the eternal truth, my Guru Sikhs, because Akal Purkh himself has spoken these words. So can they be rog sog sab mit gaye, nit nawa naroa. And I said I was going to focus on what Guru Sahib says afterwards, and focus on what science says first. But I wanted to touch on a little bit on what Gurbani says, and then flick over to what the world says momentarily, so we can appreciate how it goes hand in hand. Shayad ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਈਆਂ ਨੇ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਆ, or you would have experienced this, ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਜੇ ਸਿਰ ਦੁਖੇ ਤਾਂ ਸਿਰ ਦੁਖਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ, if we have a headache and it's just not going away, and we take some paracetamol, and it thins the blood a little bit and can help. And sometimes we go to the doctors because it's just not working. And Guru Sahib, and doctor still says, take some of this dawai or take some paracetamol, continue taking it, you'll be fine. What they acknowledge is sometimes sif koi pani da ਘਾਟਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਸਰੀਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਸਿਰ ਦੁਖਣ ਲੱਗ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਸੋਚਣ ਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ the mind is tired, you haven't had enough rest, ਤੇ ਸਿਰ ਦੁਖਦਾ, you don't actually need any dawai. But if you've gone to the doctor and he sends you home ਖਾਲੀ ਹੱਥੀ, you're going to think to yourself, ਉਹਨੇ ਕੁਝ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਲਈ, they haven't even helped me. But they might suggest you to have some paracetamol just for the placebo effect. Doctors acknowledge this. Placebo effect ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈਗਾ ਵੀ ਸਿਰਫ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹੋ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਕੁਝ ਲੈ ਲਿਆ ਤੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਕੁਝ ਲੈ ਲਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਠੀਕ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਾ, because you've got that belief that I've just taken some paracetamol ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਠੀਕ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਾ. That belief is actually what gets you better. So the medical world acknowledges this, that the placebo effect is real. You believed, I've taken this substance, therefore I'm going to get better. But really this substance had no effect. But because it helps you feel that it's going to make you better, the doctor will say, go on, it's fine, have it. So ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਨ ਚ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਠੀਕ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਾ ਤੇ ਤਦ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਠੀਕ ਹੋਏ for that level of ਬਿਮਾਰੀ. So is that hocus pocus magic or what? Is this some old religion or some guru or some godly person sprinkling some magic pixie dust over your heads and just creating a miracle? Or is there some substance behind this? Because science seems to think there is some substance behind this. ਆਪਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੰਨਦੇ. Guru ਸਾਡੇ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ, but we're thinking, yeah, but in the real world, does it work? But now science is saying it too. So don't we have to reflect both of them? ਆਪਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਦੇ ਜੰਮੇ ਹੋਏ पढ़े लिखे होए, we go to the doctor, we understand what science is saying, or we begin to appreciate. But if we reflect on what Guru Sahib is saying, science is also reflecting what Guru Sahib is saying. So to what degree does this work? Adatani doctor koi kehne lage, it's okay, you've got a very severe disease, but don't worry about it, the placebo effect will work. No way. Fir ta thonu dawai deoge, and it will have some chemical rebalance, and it helps you. है ना? ਇਹ ਨਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਸੋਚੀਏ ਵੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਦਵਾਈਆਂ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪਲੇਸੀਬੋ ਇਫੈਕਟ ਨਾਲ ਚੱਲ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਐਂਡ ਦ ਰੀਜ਼ਨ ਇਜ਼ ਦਿਸ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ 'ਚ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਟ੍ਰੈਸ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਅੱਧ ਦੇ ਕੈਮੀਕਲ ਰਿਲੀਜ਼ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਢਿੱਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਤੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਦੇ ਦਿਵਾਲੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਰਾਈਟ ਸੋ ਇਫ ਵੀ when we release certain chemicals from either being sad or stressed or equally when we're happy or even when we're angry actually ਹੈ ਨਾ those chemicals that get released ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਉਸ ਇਮੋਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹੀਏ ਤਾਂ ਸਰੀਰ ਫਲੱਡ ਹੋਈ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਉਸ ਕੈਮੀਕਲ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਫਿਰ ਇੰਬੈਲੈਂਸ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਣ ਲੱਗ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਸੋ ਇਫ ਆਮ ਸਟ੍ਰੈਸਡ ਫॉर 5 minutes or half a day that's one thing if I'm stressed out for a week and a month and 2 months constantly then I'm flooding my body with those level of chemicals and that imbalance begins to happen ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਬਹੁਤ fatty foods ਖਾਵਾਂ ਤੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਨੇ ਹੌਲੀ unfit ਹੋ ਜਾਣਾ ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਮਸਲਸ ਨੂੰ ਵਰਤਾਂ ਹੌਲੀ my body becomes fit ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਨੈਗੇਟਿਵ ਸੋਚਾਂ 'ਚ ਪੈਵਾਂ ਹਰ ਵੇਲੇ ਤੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਇੰਬੈਲੈਂਸ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਾ and the imbalance can be so much that then my thoughts cannot reverse it. Then we need to have some sort of dawai or a tablet or a chemical that helps rebalance the flooding of chemicals in our body to create some rebalance and then it requires our mindset to fix the rest. So देख लो मैं उदाहरण देने की कोशिश की थी I might have gotten a bit too deep and too complicated there but there's a direct relationship with what we think and then how ill we get and to bring that back it might take some medicinal help it might take some sochini or combination of the both to help create that rebalance again Guru Sahib te kende bhi jere those who really concentrate and meditate with awareness and explore what the words of Gurbani are to give context to what we're meditating on ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਛ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਠੀਕ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ that's a big statement I said something slightly controversial right in the beginning I said if the whole world was doing Nam Simran there might not really be much effect I wondered if people picked up on that Guru Sahib says it himself ਭਾਵੇਂ ਸਾਰਾ ਜੱਗ ਆਰਾਮ ਨਾਮ ਕਰਦਾ ਰਹੇ ਭਗਤੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਰਹੇ there might not be any effect ਆਰਾਮ ਨਾ ਪਾਇਆ ਜਾਏ you won't find Akal Purkh you won't get that spiritual awakening but those who start to appreciate the context that Gurbani builds about Akal Purkh ji and with that context then does Simran that awareness that is created by Gurbani creates a different type of feeling when we're doing Simran and that then really begins to transform the mind, the spirit, and the body. So, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸੋਚਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਖਾਲੀ ਮਨ ਦਾ ਨਾਲ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਜਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਬਾਣੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਗੱਡੀ ਲੱਦੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ we're not just reading for the sake of reading are we the act of reading isn't really going to help at all Gurbani says ਜਿੰਨਾ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਪੜ੍ਹੋ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਨ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਜਾਂ conscious ਹੋ ਕੇ or without understanding what's being said it's not really going to have the transformative effect that you potentially could otherwise experience. So it's quite deep. But that means je main bimar rewa sari dihadi sari umar li ਇਹ ਮੇਰੇ ਹੱਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀ ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਠੀਕ ਹੋ ਜਾਵਾਂ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਹੱਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀ did I choose to explore Guru Sahib's spirituality and do I want to make the effort on that journey and maybe explore that side of things too Guru Sahib says it himself, "Apan hathi apna, api hi kaaj swariye." The taqat is within us. If somehow we met the Guru, or heard his words, or were shaken or stirred by the concepts that he spoke to us about, whether physically we met him or audibly we heard the shabad, the word, and that interaction can cause such a transformative effect that that's when the journey begins. So मैं समझ सकता हाँ भी मैं आनंद ਇਹ ਪਿਆਰ ਇਹ ਫੋਕਸ ਮੈਂ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ 'ਚ ਲਿਆਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਤੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਮਨ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਤਕੜਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ. So we focused just a little bit about Akal Purkh and what science is saying about some of these concepts. So ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਹਨ ਬਿਮਾਰ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਸਰੀਰ ਸਿਰਫ ਸੋਚਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ, then how ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ can we get, or how sort of immortalized could we become if we thought the other way? ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਮਨ ਇੰਨਾ ਰੇਜ਼ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ, ਇੰਨਾ spiritually elevate ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ, ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਕੀ ਇਫੈਕਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸਰੀਰ ਤੇ? We should explore that, because if you look at what happened to Baba Deep Singh, ਇਹ ਕੋਈ ਆਮ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੀਸ ਤਲਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਅਲੱਗ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਲੜਦਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਜਾਂ ਤੁਰਦਾ ਰਿਹਾ. What is that? ਹੈ ਨਾ? Those Guru Sikhs who stayed immersed in Gurbani in a day-to-day basis, Hana? I've used this example before, but it's probably relevant here. If we look at a scale of what is good and what is bad, and think of the worst type of human on one side and the best type of human on the other side, and everything in between on that scale. So if we think of the worst type of person we can imagine might be something like a serial killer or a pedophile or a mass murderer or anything that's really depraved. है ना? बहुत सब तो दुनिया दा मंदा भैड़ा बंदा होवे, दूसरे नू मारन वाला ਜਾਂ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਨੂੰ ਮਾਰਨ ਵਾਲਾ, ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਬਹੁਤ ਭੈੜਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਹੋਵੇ. That could be on the worst side of the scale. On the other side of the scale, we've got somebody who's bhagati wala, somebody who has elevated his spirit and almost become godlike. A godlike person, who's spiritually pure, a well-rounded human being who's got nothing but the best at heart for everybody. So spiritually elevated that Guru Sahib will do their ustat. He can be on the other end of the scale. ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਬੈਸਟ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਬੀਇੰਗ ਤੇ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵਰਸਟ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਬੀਇੰਗ. ਤੇ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਸਕਿੰਟ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਨ 'ਚ ਸੋਚੀਏ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਫਿੱਟ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਇਸ ਸਕੇਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ? Are we somewhere in the middle? Are we somewhere on towards the bad side or somewhere towards the good side or in between? ਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਨਾਲੇ ਦਿਖਾਲਿਆ that from the worst, from here, the Koda Raksh types, the cannibals, the people who ate human beings, the mass murderers, Guru Sahib ne ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਚੱਕ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਮਨ ਮੋੜ ਕੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਬਿਠਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੰਤ ਭਗਤ ਬਣਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ. If Guru Sahib's Bani, Guru Sahib's words were that transformative, that somebody from the worst end of the scale was able to be transformed to such elevated status, then what is the potential for us? ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਅੱਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਤੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਹੋਵਾਂਗੇ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਾਰਾ ਸਮਝੇ, even if you think that I'm not a good guy, I've done all sorts of stuff, I drink and I eat meat, or I've done this, I've beat so many people up in my past, whatever you've done, or I've stolen this, or whatever type of so-called paap you think you've committed, where do you fit on that scale, right? It won't be all the way back there, I would like to think, we're all the way to at the depraved levels. ਤੇ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਅੱਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਕਿਤੇ ਜਾਂ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਚੰਗੇ ਵੀ ਪਾਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਲੱਗੇ ਆਪਾਂ, why can't Guru Sahib pick us up and take us there if he can pick all these depraved people up? Guru Sahib ਕਹਿੰਦੇ, of course you can. Guru Sahib ਸਾਰੇ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਨੂੰ ਚੇਂਜ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ. He's given the ਥਾਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਤਿੰਨ ਵਸਤੂ ਰੱਖੇ ਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ, ਆਹ ਥਾਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਸਰੂਪ ਵਿੱਚ. He's given this wisdom available to everybody, whether we take it or not is up to us. Guru Sahib's got this thal, he's called himself a thal. Guru Sahib ਦੇ ਐਂਡ ਤੇ he said ਥਾਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਿੰਨ ਵਸਤੂ ਪਇਓ, ਸਤ ਸੰਤੋਖ ਵਿਚਾਰੋ ਤੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਨਾਮ ਠਾਕੁਰ ਕਾ ਪਇਓ. So these contentment, truth and this immortalizing nectar he's placed in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and he says this thal ਵਿੱਚ, in this plate, and he just puts it before everybody. And whether you're going to take something out and take it is up to you. He's not going to force feed anybody. ਆ ਥਾਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਵਸਤੂ ਰੱਖੇ, that's going to be transformative. How much I choose to take it is up to me. That's why he says, Apan hathi apna api hi kaaj swariye. The onus is on me. And if, well and truly, doctors are beginning to recognize that a belief system, your mind has the power to start making you feel better on a physical level. If you just believe that, yes, I'm going to get better. What if you believed this? that Guru Sahib mere naal hazir nazar ya. Guru Sahib Akal Purkh is with me forever. He's right here, closer than my own hand. He's with me always. Me, the sort of middle of the road or papi type guy. He's still with me because he says so. I'm not a sant ja koi bhagat, but I might not be a mahapapi either. But whatever I am, Guru Sahib is with me. What if I thought like that? And because I'm human, I won't always be able to think like that though. It's hard. ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ, ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ, ਜਾਂ ਕੰਮਕਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਪੈ ਜਾਵੇ, ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ, it's going to be hard for me to believe that then. ਹੈ One of my near and dears passed away. That's really shakes me up now. I can't cope with that. But how much can I draw on that wisdom during the really hard times? So like the good Sikhs of the past or great warriors of the world, nobody steps into a battlefield and says, right, let me learn how to fight in this battlefield. I'm going to do really good. That doesn't happen. Bella, soldiers are usually trained before battle. During peacetime is when soldiers are trained to be at their best. And at the time of battle or war, that's when they use those skills and they come out. They're not going to learn it there and then. And the same way Guru Sahib says, Dunya vich okhyama oniya hi oniya. But it's not at the time of dukh can you really transform yourself. At the time of peace and settlement, that's when we can really absorb Guru Sahib's bhagati, Guru Sahib's spirit, Guru Sahib's vibrations, and we carry them with us. And when we carry them with us, when something does go upside down in our lives, when we do hit a financial problem, or somebody passes away, or koi dukh hove ja sukh hove, we are already beginning to be tuned with Guru Sahib's wisdom, and it keeps us afloat. It keeps us strong, and we're able to get across that battle a lot easier. So I just wanted to use a quick example. You know, there's a bibi from Leeds that we know, Siani Bibi Aika, and we had to go to take her, pick her up from her house, and go to one of her family members' house, her son's house. The son had just only faha badlasi, he basically committed suicide. He was still hung there when we got there, and the police were just taking him down, and the mother had to identify the body. Elderly Sikh Bibi of Leeds. I had to go with them, and the son was lying there. Elderly, he was an adult, adult banda si, but he was the son of this elderly lady. The only one who when she seen her son lying on the floor, just passed away, such a groan came out of her. Such a painful groan came out. Inna dukh da awaaz aayi ਉਹਦੀ ਸਰੀਰ ਤੋਂ ਉਹਦੀ ਮਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ 40-50 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਆ. The son, he wasn't like a child, but he was still an adult, but he had passed away. And she had such pain that everybody could audibly, it wasn't a cry, because roਣ ਦੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ, ਪਰ ਬਹੁਤ ਦੁੱਖ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ I can't even express the type of sound it was. I've never heard it before, but it was so much dukh and pain. And at that time, I decided to recite Kirtan Sola te ardas kiti, because it virtually had just happened for this person. And we recited Kirtan Sola, and for those who don't know, Kirtan Sola is part of our Nitnem. Saun to pehla aapa Kirtan Sola recite karte, especially when somebody passes away. Kirtan Sola recite kita janda, because it's a type of Bani that helps us reflect what we're here for. Things come, things go. The natural order of the universe continues. Some things end, some things born again, and it gives you a lot of perspective. Us time te apan Kirtan Sola da jap kita, te fir after that we did the ardas. Guru Sahib, this person has just passed away. Forgive everything he did while he was alive, and look after his soul now that he's gone. So this type of pana, mananda ardas hoi si. And the mother's sound stopped. This lady, this auntie, this bibi, her sound stopped. And when we did a jikara and then did fateh, she said, she basically composed herself. And she just stood up and said, Guru Gobind Singh de char putter war gaye si. Mera hun ek putter chale gaya to main kaade liye rondi hai. She goes, Aaj to baad main nahi rona. And she went downstairs. back home. And after that day, during the whole of source process, she was like a pillar who gave strength to everybody else, her own family members. It was her son that passed away, but she was the strength and the pillar for everybody. Because of that moment, when she decided, no, I am not going to suffer. I am going to swing this around and know that Akal Purkh takes, he gives, and he takes. And if Guru Sahib can allow his four to be taken, why am I going to cry about my one? And she in that moment, in that flick of a second moment, she turned it around. And that dukh became steady. It became middle of the ground. Jithe Guru Sahib kende bhi dukh nale sukh samkar janno na, recognize pain or hurt and happiness as one. Sukh and dukh keep them as one. Who's able to do that, they will be truly successful in this world. So this Bibi did that. I don't know what strength she drew on or what wisdom she drew on, but she managed to do it at the worst of her time. It became an example to me, this is what Guru Sahib's main message is. It became an example to me of somebody who's taken Guru Sahib's message and applied it in their lives, and it's had an immediate effect. And Guru Sahib gives this wisdom to us too, if we choose to use it. And it can make a difference. So, if we're talking about mind over matter, if the mind can win when it comes to illness, if the mind can win with Guru Sahib's aid and with the aid of spirituality, can win during the deepest of pains, so that we forget physically struggling or mentally struggling, can help during both circumstances. This is what Guru Sahib's bringing to the fore. So Hana, I've just shown what the dunya knows already. When we're in pain, this is what happens. When we apply certain medicines or certain schools of thought, this is what begins to happen, right? So for the next few minutes, I'm going to focus on what Guru Sahib says. Even though I've touched on given some chalkiyan, I've given some hints of what Guru Sahib's message has been anyway. But I just want to start at the beginning for 2 seconds. अच्छा, मैं सिर्फ शुरू तो हम गाल करना लगाया भी गुरु ग्रंथ साहब जी या even Guru Nanak Dev जी उन्हें शुरू कित्थों गाल कीती है दुनिया वास्ते. You know the dunya. If any of us Sangta was given a mission by Guru Sahib to see जाओ हन, convince the world that Akal Purkh exists, God exists, and we have to go to speak to all sorts of educated people, the people of the world, and prove to them that God exists. Just think to yourself for 2 seconds, what would you say? Where would you even start? Commonly people say, well, think about it, we're love on the inside, you can feel the love, therefore you can feel there must be something more to life than just this, we can feel God. We'll talk about all sorts of concepts. But je dekhi bhi Guru Nanak Dev Ji jodo aaye si duniya vich na, what was his first word? Or his first words were simply Ik Oankar Sat Naam Karta Purkh. And the mool mantra, Guru Sahib doesn't mince his words. Kisi nu manaun di koshish nahi ਕੀਤੀ, ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤੀ. ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਉਹਨੇ ਸਿਰਫ ਸੱਚ ਬੋਲਿਆ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਹੀ ਇੱਕ ਆ. There's one Akal Purkh. We are all part of it. Everything is that one. He didn't try to explain it first. ਉਹਨੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸੱਚ ਬੋਲਿਆ, ਫਿਰ ਬਾਅਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਮਝਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ. ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਉਹਨੇ ਸਾਫ਼ ਦੱਸ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਸੱਚ ਆ. ਆਦਿ ਤੋਂ ਸੱਚ ਰਿਹਾ, ਯੁੱਗਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਸੱਚ ਰਿਹਾ, ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ ਆ, ਤੇ ਹੋਣਾ ਵੀ ਸਦਾ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਸੱਚ. He's been eternally true. He did not mince his words. He just spelt it out for everybody. ਫਿਰ ਬਾਅਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੀ. Then he went into, so how do you find Akal Purkh then? ਸੋਚੇ, ਸੋਚ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਜੇ ਸੋਚੀ ਲੱਖ ਵਾਰ. ਚੁੱਪ ਹੈ, ਚੁੱਪ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਜੇ ਲਾਏ ਰਹਾ ਲਿਵਤਾਰ. So we've talked about a God first. Guru Sahib said, look, there is. Akal Purkh is there, he's fearless. He does not have no hate. He's been here forever. He's never born nor died. He told us the facts. He laid out the facts. Then he said, how are we going to experience Vaheguru then? And over the thousands of years, people would be suche rehne di koshish kiti. If I remain pure in my body, then maybe I'll find him. But Guru Sahib says, no. You can clean yourself or stay outwardly pure as much as you want. You won't find him. Then with silence, if I don't get involved in the word, perhaps I'll find him through silence. Guru Sahib straight away says no. He didn't say try it. He says, no, you won't find him like that. Bhukhiyan, like having fasts, bhukha reh ke shayad main lab ju, bhukhiyan bhukh na utri. It's not going to, your bhukh will never go by staying bhukha. They says Seanpa, maybe if I read loads of books, I'll become intelligent and really become educated. Maybe I'll find him like that. That the Guru Sahib says, not even one of those will go with you. So give, then how? Guru Sahib asks the question, how then? Kiddan sache howange? Give sachara hoye? Give kude tutte pal? How will I break out of this world that has just bound me down, like imprisoned me? And his answer was just one line. Hukum razai chalana, nanak likhya naal. So that's the first instruction out of the whole Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Jinni vi bachan Guru Sahib ne ditte na, of all the shabads that's written in there, the first question and the first answer comes straight away in the first body of Japji Sahib. After Guru Sahib laid out the bare facts in Mool Mantar, Guru Sahib then breaks into how to find him. And the first answer he doesn't give is do Simran. The first answer he gives isn't to do read a part. The first answer he says isn't to do Bhagati. The first one simply is Hukum Razai Chalana. That means just stay in the flow and recognize Guru Sahib's will. Acceptance. That's the first one. First instruction. If you want your mind to be steady, you want to enter this path, you want to find Akal Purkh Ji, then Hukum is the first one. And it's such an easy statement to make, so Guru Sahib then goes into how. So I'm not going to go into that. I wanted to explore big Guru Sahib ne kidda message shuru ਕੀਤੀ ਆ ਹੁਕਮ ਨੂੰ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਮੰਨਣਾ, and then Guru Sahib focus on gona, then Guru Sahib focus on sunana for so many paragraphs and podiya, then he focuses on manana, he focuses on so many pieces of wisdom that he gives us. It's almost like a machine gun of world-changing, like mind-blowing information. That's just Japji Sahib. This is the wisdom Guru Sahib's given. Hukum razai chalna. But we're going to focus on a Shabad for a minute. I've done a lot of talking. Hai na? Guru Sahib says nobody's life is going to change with talking. Main jinna marji bolan, I'm not full of wisdom. I'm ta avgun nal padya paya ya. This person here is talking the talk. Hai na? But he's not walking the walk. He's not pura. He's not complete. So what right have I got to talk the talk? It's not going to change anybody. It might give you something to reflect on, but it's not really going to have an effect. What is going to have an effect is, as a Sangeet, if we sit and reflect and try to understand and sing together. So I'm going to do a request to everybody that I'm going to talk about one Shabad that I feel like is an eye-opening statement by Guru Sahib that helps us appreciate how mind wins matter. And we're going to sing it together. Benji Huni is going to lead, and then we're going to all sing with her. It's a very short Shabad, and it goes, Man. So Guru Sahib's talking to himself, to your mind. This is you talking to yourself. This is me talking to me. Mera man, tu jot swaroop hai, apna mool pashan. So it's saying, mind, hey mind, I'm talking to myself here. You are actually light. You're not this body. You're not this human form. Jadon apan sheesha ch dekhde na, apni shakal dekhde, eh thodi shakal nahi hegi. Because if I was to die right now, that thing jara bolda o cheez jari boldi hai na, ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਤੁਰ ਪਈ ਹੁਣ ਤੁਰ ਪਣਾ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਰੀਰ ਰਹਿ ਗਿਆ ਤੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਭਾਂਡਾ ਸੀ. So if I look in the mirror and I drop dead right now, that thing that is speaking is not what I can see in the mirror. That's not me. So this thing that disappears, ਉਹ ਕੀ ਆ ਫਿਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੈਂ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਦੇਖੀ ਨਹੀਂ. That light that disappears, what does that look like? That means we don't know ourselves yet. If you look in the mirror and you think that's me, that's not you, that's not me. मैं शीशे दा शक्ल ਇਹ ਮੇਰੀ ਸ਼ਕਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ. ਇਹ ਮੇਰੀ ਦੁਨਿਆਵੀ ਭਾਂਡਾ ਆ. That's my worldly vessel. But what I am, I don't know it yet. So Guru Sahib wants us to discover that. So Guru starts by saying, Man, tu jot swaroop hai, apna mool pashan. So recognize your roots, recognize where you came from, recognize what you are. And then he said the second line I find really inspiring after we've reflected on the first line. when we listen to the first talk of Guru Sahib, it's quite revolutionary, sort of सोचनी really. भी मन तू जोत स्वरूप है, अपना मूल पहचान, मन हर जी तेरे नाल है, गुरमति रंगमान. So man, he goes, hey mind, Harji, you know, Guru Sahib, he's with you. Tere naal hai, mere naal hai. And with Gurmat, with Guru's wisdom, Rangaman, enjoy it, experience it. Experience it. He didn't say, be, O Santa, O Bhagati Kanwala, you explore it. He's saying to you, he's saying to me, average person. That means every single one of us, everybody on the planet. Guru Nanak Dev Ji sif Sikhali nisi aaye. He came for the dunya. He's saying to every human being on this planet, if you recognize what you are on the inside, you will make that inner discovery and can become enlightened. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਭਗਤੀ ਵਾਲੇ ਦੇਵਤੇ ਵਾਂਗਰ angelic ਰੂਪ ਬਣ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ, ਗੁਰੂ ਰੂਪ ਬਣ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ. We can become like Akal Purkh himself. We have the potential. So, in the same way that when we say something negative to each other, we can get upset. ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣ ਸਾਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਦਬ ਕੇ ਮਾਰਨ ਲੱਗ ਪਵਾਂ ਨਾ, I'm going to make you upset. That's how much power words have. If I was to even go more ganda than that and started to even swear and shout and put people down, that's going to make your mood go down real quick. That's how much power words have. ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਦੀ ਸ਼ੋਭਾ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗ ਪਵਾਂ, if I try to praise everybody and just recognize how great everybody is, that's going to make you feel good. It's going to lift you up. Just words coming out of my mouth. But it has such a massive effect. Because we explored earlier that a negative feeling can generate even our physical body become negative. So if we're positivizing each other, how much effect is that happening on the body? Hai na? So ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ positive ਬੋਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਹੁਣ ਮੈਂ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ, let's everybody try to speak some of these positive words from Gurbani, because it's ਤੁਰ ਕੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਆਈ, ਤਿਨ ਸਗਲੀ ਚਿੰਤ ਮਿਟਾਈ. This Bani, these words have come from above, and all anxieties of the mind can begin to disappear if you really reflect on them. So I'm going to do Benti to Penji to start reciting this Shabad. Man tu jot swarup hai, apna mool pashan. Hopefully it will come up onto the translation as well. The Benti apa sare nu. Let's think of it in this way. Guru Sahib was talking to me. If all of us sat in this Guru's Darbar, think he's not saying it to somebody else, he's saying it to me. He came on this earth for me. He's speaking these words for me and revealing this wisdom to me because he wants me to elevate. So let's sing this Shabad as if we're singing from the heart, as if these Guru's words were made for you, for me. And I want to sing it because he composed these words for me.
सोजी होई, मरण जीवन की सोजी होई, मरण जीवन की सोजी होई, मरण जीवन की सोजी होई। गुर प्रसादिए को जानै,
गुर प्रसादी एको जानै,
गुर प्रसादिए को जानै, गुर प्रसादिए को जानै, तां दूजा पाओ ना होई, तां दूजा पाओ ना होई, तां दूजा पाओ ना होई, तां दूजा पाओ ना होई। मन तू ज्योत स्वरूप है,
मन तुम ज्योत स्वरूप है,
मन तू ज्योत स्वरूप है, मन तू ज्योत स्वरूप है, अपना मूल पहचान, अपना मूल पहचान, अपना मूल पहचान। मन शांत आई वजी वदाई,
मन शांत आई वजी बदाई,
मन शांत आई वजी वदाई, मन शांत आई वजी वदाई, ता होआ परवान, ता होआ परवान, ता होआ परवान, स्वरूप है अपना मूल पछाण अपना मूल पछाण अपना मूल पछाण.
So, why Guruji gives us so many self-affirmations like this. The more we rub up against this type of wisdom over and over again, ਜੋ ਆਪਾਂ ਰੋਜ਼ ਦੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਗਿਆਨ ਨੂੰ ਮਨ 'ਚ ਵਸਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰੀਏ, ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਇੱਕ ਮਿੰਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣ ਲੱਗਾ, ਇੱਕ ਦਿਹਾੜੀ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣ ਲੱਗਾ, but when on a daily basis we're rubbing up against this type of wisdom and using these type of words to self-affirm to ourselves again and again, ਵੀ ਮਨਾ ਤੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਕੁਛ ਆ, ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਮਨਾਉਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ. ਅਤੇ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਕਹੇ 'ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਦੋ ਵਾਰੀ ਕਹੇ 'ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ. ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਸੰਗਤ ਰੂਪੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਇਫੈਕਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ, ਪਰ ਮਨ ਨੂੰ ਜਿੱਤਣਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਔਖੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ. Guru Sahib says, like, your mind is like an elephant, a huge elephant that you can't control, ਫੜ ਕੇ ਬਿਠਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੇ. And Guru Sahib also uses the analogy, the ਮਨ ਬਾਂਦਰ ਵਾਂਗਰ ਵੀ ਆ, ਉੱਠਦਾ ਟੱਪਦਾ ਭੱਜਦਾ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ, ਇੱਕ ਸੋਚਣੀ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਦੂਜੀ ਸੋਚਣੀ, ਟਿਕਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੇ ਮਨ ਨੂੰ. ਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਾਂ ਗਾ ਰਹੇ ਆ, ਫਿਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਮਨ ਨੂੰ ਸੁਧਾਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਇਹ ਗਾਉਣ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਮਨਾਉਣ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਇਹ ਬਚਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, it begins to appreciate and transform. ਫਿਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਸੰਗਤ ਰੂਪ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਗਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜਾਂ ਘਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੈਠ ਕੇ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਿਮਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਗਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਰੋਜ਼ ਨਿੱਤ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡਾ ਮਨ ਟਰਾਂਸਫਾਰਮ ਹੋਣ ਲੱਗ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ. ਸੋ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਵਰਗਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਖੜ੍ਹਾ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਸਕੇਲ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ, ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ ਮੇਰਾ ਮਨ ਅਤੇ ਹਿਰਦਾ ਸ਼ੁੱਧ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜਾਵੇਗਾ ਅਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਲਾਗੇ ਪਹੁੰਚਦਾ ਰਹੇਗਾ. ਸੋ we've got this potential, all of us. The Guru Sahib Kirpa Karan, may we have many more opportunities to sing Kirtan like this that will have a transformative effect on our mind, on our soul, and therefore our body as well. So, Baba Deep Singh Ji, Gurbani de naal sanj roj kardi si, like any Gursikh would. And there's so many more self-affirming shabads, strength-giving shabads like this that we can take value from also. A beautiful shabad that wins the mind, that often comes to my mind, is this transformative sort of shabad that spins what we think about in the world on its head. So ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਦੁੱਖ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਜਾਂ ਡਿਫੀਕਲਟ ਸਮਾਂ ਆਉਂਦਾ, ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਬਚਨ ਉਚਾਰਦੇ ਨੇ. The shabad that I love to reflect on sometimes is one of the tuks that say, dukh nahi, sab sukh hi hai re, ek hai eki net hai. So Guru Sahib saying, hey, there is no pain, there is no dukh, sab sukh hi hai re. There is only peace and positivity if you see the oneness in everything. Ek hai eki net hai. These are easy words to say, hard to put into practice. But when we rub up against it every single day, when we grind against that shabad and manifest it into our minds to become a reality, it begins to take form. And these positive words reaffirm over and over again. And you can win like the Bibi did with her son passing away, and she swung it around with a certain way of thinking. Guru Sahib's trying to swing our way of thinking around. He goes, Mana, dukh nahi, sab sukhi hai re. There is nothing but peace and goodness and happiness everywhere. There is no dukh. Ek eki nete. And then the next line, he says, Bura nahi, sab pala hi hai re. Har nahi, sab jete. You'll never be defeated. You'll always win. You'll always be victorious, because there is no bad. There is only good. Guru Nanak Dev Ji saw the good in all, even the cannibal, even the cutthroat murderer. There's good in him too, because there's a Rab Darup in him somewhere. It's about how we sprout it and make it emerge. That's the only difference. Guru Sahib didn't think, tu ta papi ya, tu shad pere get out my face. He could have said that, but he didn't. He drew on the good ka ke bura nahi. There is no badness. If you will it, it will be true. Je tusi socho bi bura nahi, te sache muchi bi bura nahi kite dasna. Bura nahi, sab pala hi hai re. That's mind over matter. That's your mind jitting how it sees the world. The world might be bura, but in my mind it's not bura. It's fine. It's all the khed is happening. It's all Guru Sahib's play. I will accept it as it is and see it for the good that it is. And then when we apply this way of thinking, then har nahi, kade nahi har de, sab jete. You will always win, be victorious. Winning the mind first. We almost call this talk win the mind and win the world. Hai Man jeete jag jeet. That's what we nearly call this talk. But it feels too easy to say that. It's such a bold but it can almost be a flippant statement to make. Hai na? Apne man nu jit lo, to duniya nu jit lo. Kinni sokhi cheez hai. But it's not sokhi, is it? Kehn nu sokha hai. So I didn't want to have such an easy title because it's not an easy thing. So par Guru Sahib ne his talk vich given a little bit more chanana to this, a bit more light on this subject. That when you transform your thinking in this positivized way, then you can begin to win sada vaste. Pame jo kuch marji thode samne aa jave. You have to single-handedly take on this 5,000 army. You've got all these cuts and bruises now, but you're marching on ahead. Thoda sar vi let gaya. Har nahi, sab jete. That positive mindset goes through the roof. You've heard of people having a positive mindset, but imagine the mindset of Baba Deep Singh when he says, but I've given my bachan to my Guru, I'm going to get there. Main Harmandir Sahib pahunchna hi pahunchna hai. Main Sugardas kiti, leek maar dite punje bhi, everybody steps over this line. We're going for it. Even if we have to die, we're going for it. I've done my ardas, I'm going to get there. Sar let gaya. I'm not giving up. I give my bachan to Guru Sahib. Apa uth ke pahunchna hai pahunchna. If the mind can fix your bamariyan, when I've got a headache, because with my willpower, imagine if you had so much Akal Purkh di kirpa, that even sir lethan vi nahi thoda jaan varna hon ditta. You didn't let the spirit leave the body with that conviction. Not like this, not willpower, but he's been focusing on Gurbani so much for his whole life, it becomes eternally true in the physical world, not just in the spiritual world anymore. ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹਨੇ ਇੰਨਾ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਸਿਰਫ 1-2-4 ਤੁਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ. We only talked about ਮਨ ਤੂੰ ਜੋਤ ਸਰੂਪ ਹੈ. We've talked about ਸੁਖ ਦੁੱਖ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਭ ਸੁਖੀ ਹੈ ਰੇ. But he rubbed up against so much ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ, instilled it in his mind that it becomes eternal truth. And when ਫਿਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਜੋ ਤੋ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਖਿਲਨ ਕਾ ਚਾਓ ਸਿਰ ਤਰ ਤਲੀ ਗਲੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਆਓ इत मार्ग पैर तरीजै सिर दीजै कान ना कीजै. Those bachan became eternal truths for these Gursikhs. Sif Baba Deep Singh ji nahi, baki bhi Gursikh. All the Gursikhs who absorb Gurbani in this manner. Purja kat mere, kabhu na shade khet. He made these words that were concepts become true in the physical world. Es dunya ch karke dikhal dita. Not in some other heavenly world somewhere else and or spiritual world somewhere else. As dunya de vich ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਦਿਖਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ. ਪੁਰਜਾ ਕੱਟ ਮਰੇ ਕਬਹੂ ਨਾ ਛੱਡੇ ਖੇਤ. Guru Sahib ਨੇ ਐਵੇਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹ ਬਚਨ ਕਹੇ. He didn't just say these words because they sound really nice and they give you positivity. These are eternal, universal truths that people who have that conviction and belief, it becomes true in every sense of the word. ਜਦੋਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਆਗੈ ਸੀਸ ਪੇਟ ਦਿਓ ਜੇ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਸਾਚੇ ਭਾਵੈ. He's saying, come and give your head and fear nothing after that. Baba Deep Singh took that to a next level of reality. The reality, because he believed it to such a degree, it was reality. ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ this Gursikh from India once said to me ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ 4 ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੋਚ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਮੈਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਠੀਕ ਹੋ ਜਾਵਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਠੀਕ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ जहाँ पर कह सकते भी मैं गुरबानी पढ़ के ठीक हो जाना, but there's one beyond that. He goes, मैं है ही ठीक है, I'm ठीक now. And that belief system in the mind, this placebo effect on a low level that we talked about before, on the highest levels, if he thinks I'm already well now because I willed it, because Guru Sahib is here with me. Sad Hazur, Hazar hai Nazar. And if Guru Sahib is saying, Satgur ki bani sat sat kar jano gur sikho, har karta aap muho kadaye. Or Guru Sikhs of mine believe it as the truth, the eternal truth, because Akal Purkh himself has said it. Then emi galna nahi hege. So if Guru Sahib says that it's going to happen, then it's going to happen. So if purja kat mere kab huna shade khet, then that's what's going to happen. He willed it into existence because he believed in it so strong. There's no other two ways about it. It was not belief anymore, it's truth. It's truth. Satgur mera mar jiwale. It's not just words. My Satgur, pame marna vi kisi nu hove, which he does, he can revive that back to life as well, because he said so. It's not silly old Bhagat Singh believing in some silly old miracles. These are the words of Akal Purkh, and Guru Sahib says, Sat sat kar jano gur sikho, har karta aap moho kadai. So this is the level of conviction that Baba Deep Singh Ji had. And the reason I started on low-level belief systems, such as, I've taken this paracetamol, therefore I will get better. If science recognizes how your belief system matters, your mind matters, then imagine if you take it to these levels. And it's within the realm and reach of every single one of us, because Guru Sahib said so. So, when we recognize, there's so many wonderful, wonderful pieces of Gurbani that help you uplift you from where we were. If I was a puppy yesterday, I shouldn't sit here and brood about it today. Bhi main to bahut papi hai, mera nahi kuch banna. That negative thinking will keep us down. Does Guru Sahib think like that? Does Guru Sahib think, well, yesterday you was a cannibal, today you got no chance, mate? Guru Sahib doesn't say that. Guru Sahib kende si, Aju kish bigriyo nahi, je prabh gun gaave. He said, nothing's been ruined yet. Don't worry about it. Aju kush bigriyo nahi. Haji kush nahi bigriya tera. It doesn't matter about yesterday. If you start to focus on these words now, transform yourself now through these words. As long as you do it from now, it doesn't matter what happened yesterday, 10 years ago, or what you did before you even came here. It doesn't matter. You've got the chance to transform now. And there's other shabas like that. There's one of the Guru Sikhs here had it on their Facebook status, had to save it because it's been coming in my mind ever since. These are words from Guru Sahib, so positivizing. Kende agahun ko trang, fir piche na mundara. Look forward now, just look ahead and focus on the path ahead. Don't look back what you did yesterday. Agahun ko trang, piche fir na mundara. Nanak shij eve hawar, bohar fir na janmada. So he goes, this is your chance now, this lifetime, this very rare life you have, you've got a chance of swinging it now so you don't have to be born again and die again. You can make yourselves eternal this time, from now. It doesn't matter about your history. It doesn't matter about your past. It doesn't matter if the whole dunya thinks of you as bad. You can transform into something angelic. Guru Sahib says equally, it doesn't matter if the whole world thinks you're good. If you're not reflecting on the truth, you're not even recognized in the eyes of God. Japji Sahib vich nahi honda that no matter how famous you become, even if you're known throughout the 9 continents, even if your name was known in every single household, if everybody followed you wherever you go, if Guru Sahib doesn't recognize the truth inside you, all that's worth nothing. So it goes both ways. It doesn't matter what the world whether the world thinks thinks of you as bad or thinks of you as good. But the truth within you will reveal how connected we can become, potentially. It's about you and your direct connection with Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Akal Purkh, Vaheguru. It doesn't matter if he was a murderer yesterday. It doesn't matter if he was good yesterday. From this second forth, I'm going to focus on Guru Sahib. And apan dekhya hai, if Baba Deep Singh Ji can do it, and Guru Sahib says, I can do it, you can do it, we can do it, then of course we can. It's up to us to believe it. It's up to us to recognize it, and up to us to walk on it. So this is what Badshah Ji says. In the beginning, I tried to talk about what the dunya says. I've tried to focus on what Badshah Ji says now. And I'm going to quickly, just for a minute or two before we break into questions and answers, is just talk about, if we're going to talk about quickly, what can I do now going forward? Using this wisdom that Guru Sikhs like Baba Deep Singh applied in their real lives, in our real lives when we're talking about mind over matter, how can we help transform ourselves even? So if we can prove to ourselves through self-reflection, mind plays a big part. Our mood, our emotions play a very huge part in what we're going to become physically, or that personality transforms into what, and our reactions and the type of person we are, how that transforms going forward also. So the first thing Guru Sahib says that we focused on earlier is accept it. Accept and know whatever you are is what Guru Sahib made you. Whatever your surroundings, whatever your circumstances are, is what Guru Sahib made you. Hukum, Razai Jalana. Accept it first. This is the Raza of Guru Sahib. It's the play of Guru Sahib. If you can begin to accept that, that's the first point. And the second is, even science recognizes this too, that self-affirmation, which means telling yourself something over and over to make your mind believe it, can be very transformative. And that's why Guru Sahib says, Nit ut juj karije. Daily fight and feed your mind. Nit name is the very word that translate Guru Sahib says, you transform yourself on a daily basis. Engage with Gurbani on a daily basis, transform your mind on a daily basis. Otherwise, it'll keep slipping. There's too much going on in the world that's going to hold you back. But the Gurbani will lift you out and keep you afloat. So, jinna bhi apa, my benti is, if any of us walk into a Gurdwara, or we hear Gurbani in the car, or it comes on in the TV, or we go to somebody's house, we're exposed to any level of this Gurbani, don't let yourself walk away unless you've understood at least one word minimum, preferably a sentence, before you go. Because that's Guru Sahib talking to you, to me. That's my personal message. Guru Sahib must have revealed my ears, that Gurbani was exposed to my ears for a purpose. No Gurbani should go flying over our minds. If we're exposed to Gurbani, all of a sudden, it's for you. Take it, grab it, and do something with it. Even if it's only one word, because it's hard to understand. What word did you understand? What did that make you think? That is engagement. And we must engage with Guru Sahib on a daily basis if we want to change. And if Guru Sahib says we can do it, then we can do it. We should never have this nivi soch, mere to nahi hona nahi. Because Guru Sahib says, na tere to hona ya. So who am I to think that I can't do it? Guru Sahib says, come, and I'll give you it all. So, Guru Sahib wants us on this marg, this prem the marg, this path of love, because love is what's going to defeat everything. It's not willpower, it's not strength, it's not conviction, but love. Because when you love, you can build that relationship with your Guru. In the same way, nobody can say to you, you know what, you should love your mother, you know. Is anyone ever going to say that to you? You should love your mother. It's a naturally api cheez hundi hai na. We love our father, we love our mother. And if you didn't have that love, you wouldn't talk to them in the way that you do. You wouldn't respect them in the way that you do. You wouldn't listen to them or take wisdom from them in the way that you do. So Akal Purkh Ji is even more closer to us than our physical, worldly mothers and fathers. And if we recognize with Pitaji, Tusi menu mat devo, है ना? हम बारक, तुम गुर पिता है. I'm just a child, Guru Pita, you are my father. De mat samjhaye. Hum pool bagade dinis raat. I keep making mistakes day and night, because I'm this foolish little kid. हम पूल बगाड़े दिन इस रात हर लाज रखाए but you can protect me. हम बारक तू गुरु पिता है दे मत समझाए. Give me that wisdom and explain it to me. And if we ask that of him, he will never refuse. He's given us that promise already. He says, Charan Sharan Gur Ek Penda Jai Chal. One step. You come to this Sharan and ask him for help one time only. Take one step only. The Satgur Kaur Penda Age Hoile. He will traverse thousands and millions more steps to come and collect you. But we've got to ask. The power is within us to ask. Do I accept that I'm incomplete? Do I accept that I can't live without, I can't gain this wisdom without Guru? Then Guru Sahib Ji, why won't you give it to me? To see Devo? You know? A child would ask his mum that I want more sweets. Please take me to the newsagent and get me some sweets. And the parent might say, no, it's not good for you. You've had plenty. You're not having any more. But please, I really want it. No, it's not good for you. You're not having it at the moment. But the child will cry and stamp his feet. Those children with conviction. Those that give up will be like me, you know, oh, I'm not allowed to have it, chalo theek hai. But those children who really want it, they'll ask and ask and ask. And a loving mother and father would eventually see him crying and being all sorts of naughty and stamping his feet and demanding and screaming. And the father mother says, chalo le lo fir. And if we are desperate enough and ask Guru Sahib enough, Guru Sahib to see de mat, please transform me. हम अवगुण पढ़े एक गुण नहीं है ना मैं अवगुण ना पढ़े अब I don't have any but you can give it to me. Please give it to me. Talk to Guru Sahib like you talk to your own mother, to our own father. If we ask in a genuine way by recognizing what Guru Sahib says, which is Sad Hazur Hazir hai Nazar Keh rahe Vedas o haath pe nere, that's how close he is, है ना? Then have you tried talking to him then? In our own language, you can speak in English, speak in Punjabi, speak in any language you want. If we ask Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji, your pita, my pita, he will give. Bhi Guru Sahib to see aap mat devo menu nahi samjh aundi. And then eventually we'll begin on that path. And then we'll get to the level of conviction where we become immortal. Nothing can defeat us. Nothing can defeat the Khalsa because of all this. When we think of the Akal Purkh ki Fauj, we think of all these big brave warriors, afraid of nothing. But where did all that come from? It started somewhere. It started like with me and you. But they walked on this path and connected with Gurbani to such a degree that they were elevated and became immortals. And Guru Sahib said, everybody can do that if they try. So the onus is on us. Apan hathi apana api hi kaaj swariye. So I'm going to break into questions and answers now. We were going to sing before we finish one more a two-line shabad, which centralizes the message that we've tried to focus on and what Guru Baba Deep Singh Ji did. Bijoto prem khilan ka chao, sir tartali gali meri aao, it marg pair trije, sir dije, kaan na kije. So Benji will be singing that soon, but before that, we've got about 10 minutes. If anybody wants to ask any questions now, this is virtually the end of the Divaan now. The talk is over. I'm going to be taking questions for anybody who might want to conversate on some of these concepts. You can write the question on a piece of paper if you don't want to put your hand up. But if you want to ask aloud, you can do, and we can talk about it. Has anybody got any questions about today's talk? Anything that triggers in your mind, or something that you might want to even challenge, that you might not be willing to accept, or you don't agree with? Or if you've got a question to ask further, feel free, anybody. नहीं तो आप फिर answers ले लेवांगे. So while we're waiting, I'm just going to focus when it comes to personal effort. I'm just going to share a talk and just talk about this talk for a few seconds. So we said this talk before, that Charan Sharan Gur Ek Penda Jai Chal. If a person takes one step only towards the sanctuary of Guru, the Satgur Kot Penda Aage Hui Lete Hai. In the same vein, Guru Sahib shares other shabads too. He says, Uddam karendiyan jiyon tu. So it's an instruction to us, be Uddam karo, make an effort. The onus is on us. Uddam karendiyan jiyon tu, kamavandiyan sukh punch. So if you make that uddam, and then you kamai it, which means you learn it or you reflect on it and build it into your life, then you will enjoy that sukh punch. Then you can taste it, eat it, drink it, enjoy it, and live that bliss. Uddam karendeya jiyo tu. So all soul of mine, make the effort. So the onus is on us, every single individual. Nobody's going to come and magically sort of implant it into us. Although Guru will if you ask hard enough. But the effort has to come from us. Uddam karende jiyon tu kamavandeya sukh punch. Dhyandeya tu prabhu mil. So when you focus, you first make the effort, do some uddam. Kamavandeya, instill it, sukh punch. Dhyandeya, when you concentrate and meditate, tu prabhu mil, you'll have an opportunity to mil prabhu. Nanak utri chint, all your anxieties, fikrs, worries, they all begin to disappear. So can you see how much is put into our own hands? Uddam karendeya jiuntum, kamavandeya sukh punch, dhyandeya tu prabhu mil, Nanak utri chint. So Guru Sahib gives an instruction and reveals what the outcome will be. It's a very real outcome. Because Satguru ki bani, sat kar jano gur sikho, har karta aap muh kadai. Okay, so we've got one or two questions. How do we keep faith, bharosa, in Guru Sahib? How can you make steps to understand the Gurbani? Okay. Yeah, it's a deep question, the first one. Can you keep bharosa in Guru Sahib? I've heard somebody ask this question before. We can't really see Akal Purkh da roop. You know how we said, je main bhi mar jawa, oh cheez mere chon nikal gayi, to oh ki si? How can you describe it? Kidda da lagda si, kera rang, kera roop, what shape, what form, what color was it? We can't see Akal Purkh yet, है ना? We can see in Shabad form how to transform that connection, and Guru Sahib reveals that he's in the form of light. But that experience of what that light is, we don't know. So, and if we don't know, we can't feel, sense, smell, touch Akal Purkh in that form, then how do we build that bharosa? It's hard, isn't it? We can recognize what my mother looks like, therefore I love my mother, her direct interaction in my life, and no matter where I am in the world, I'll know my mother, and therefore it's easy for me to maintain that pyar. But Akal Purkh jinu apan hab je pehchandde nahi yet. We don't recognize Guru Sahib yet in the fullest sense of the word. So how do we build love for that? And for me personally, this is where Gurbani comes in, because my knowledge is incomplete. My mind is incomplete, my experience is incomplete, and my recognition of God is incomplete. But every time I expose myself to Gurbani, it reveals another layer of Akal Purkh's closeness, or his shape, or his form, or his interaction with me. There's always so much more to appreciate from Gurbani, that when you do Simr, you have more context during that Simran and that concentration. And the rest, then Guru begins to take over. It's almost like an exponential curve, where you've taken the first uddam, the step, Guru Sahib then comes to collect and raises you up. And that begins to continue happening over and over again before that inner transformation happens. And if one of you, in the Guru Sangat, managed to achieve that, you won't automatically be able to implant that into me. I can ask you, but how did you meet Guru Sahib? How did you get there? What did you feel? What does he look like? But Guru Sahib says, Jime gunge ki mithai hai na, a mute, a person who can't speak at all. You give him some mithai and say, how does that mithai taste? A gunga can't speak, so therefore he can't express that taste, the sweetness. And Guru Sahib says the person who begins to meet Waheguru becomes like that mute. He cannot, there's no words that can express it. There's no way for him to share that, his feelings to a second person. And Guru Sahib says himself in Japji Sahib that if he was to write as fast as the wind, have an unlimited ink, and he wrote for lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes at the speed of the wind, he wouldn't be able to describe even an iota of the greatness of Guru Sahib, Akal Purkh. So this is a game for within, that we begin to appreciate the feelings, the emotions, and we become elevated. Then words don't come into it anymore. So Gurbani helps us feel that. Gurbani, the words of Gurbani help us appreciate that. And then it becomes an internal exercise. It becomes a transformational exercise within, nothing externally anymore. But then the next question ties in, how can we make steps to understand Gurbani? There's all sorts of people here. I guess some will understand Punjabi, some don't. Some appreciate, can speak and read, and some might not be able to. But there's so many. There's a Gora Gori Penji that said to me, I can't read Gurbani, but I read Japji Sahib in the English translation form. And when I go to the Gurdwara, I get told off that you shouldn't be reading it like that, you should be reading it in Gurbani. And I said to her, you just keep reading it in English form. Because when you learn Gurbani, you will read it in Gurbani. It doesn't mean you stop doing it until you can't. You experience Gurbani any which way you can. Whether that means somebody's explained it to you, or you're listening to a translation, or you're reading a translation, or you're reading directly from Gurbani, or you're listening to Gurbani, whichever way, shape, or form you can expose yourself to it, do it. And more important than the act of reading is the absorption of what's being said. That's way more important. And then when you do that in tandem, when you do that together, then it becomes an unshakable force. Gurbani will never let you drown. It will keep you afloat when we read it with understanding and appreciation. And Guru Sahib has always said it's not about quantity, it's about the quality. Jinna tusi comfortably par sakde ho, then read it. Expose yourself on a daily basis. Even if it's one line, even if it's 2 lines, do it. But start it. There'll come a point where you can't let go. You might have read Bani for about an hour, and you didn't notice it feels like 5 minutes. So you'll carry on for another seemingly 5 minutes, but it's 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. The love will grow within. It has to start from these baby steps, though. We must begin, make that personal effort, and we'll begin to enjoy that taste and keep going back to it. We won't be able to let go of it. Gurbani says himself. So how do we make steps to understand Gurbani? Well, there's speak to each other. The Sangeet vich, all these sevadar, they have exposure to Gurbani. Begin like that. Or you can read translations online via your phone, your laptops, your devices. Or if you're past that stage, you can read. There's nothing stopping to read from Guru Granth Sahib Ji, from Apoti, Gutka, and translation, but it's important to appreciate what's being said. If your father came and spoke to you to give you some instructions for the day, and you said, you know what, Dad, you keep speaking, I'm busy over here for a minute, I'm just going to go outside of the room, but you keep on talking, to the 4 walls, and when I come back, I'll just do whatever you say. But this is what we do to Gurbani now. We've lowered the satkar to such a degree. We get the part done for us. This wisdom that's been spoken to us for us to hear and act on, we just get it read out. Whether we're there or not, this is how much we've reduced this wisdom that's come from Akal Purkh. It's become a reading exercise as opposed to absorbing that wisdom. So however much we do is invaluable. The 1 step, the 1 line, the 2 lines, whatever you absorb, that's your journey begun at that moment, and you can guarantee your life's going to change. Because Guru Sahib said so. And Guru Sahib, whatever he says, is eternal truth. So if Guru Sahib gives you that promise, gives you that conviction that you make that 1 step and the rest he'll take over, then that's your destiny beginning to change right there and then, because you've made a self-conscious decision to expose yourself to Gurbani that's going to make a difference to your life. So the other question we've got here is, how do you focus your mind around children and get them to understand the Gurbani? Well, I guess the question goes to yourself, really. How did your parents do it to you? Did they? Did you give them half a chance? I think it's more about the self, really. If you're not able to, that means we haven't absorbed it enough yet. So let's forget about the kids for a minute. Let's focus on ourselves. And when we've absorbed a certain amount, then wisdom will come how to reach out to the child. The same way you might make your kid do a bit of homework or some chores around the house. It depends on how you say it, right? If I say, "Oi, mundiya sheti kar raha swar de," he'll be like, "Oh, whatever, Dad." If I say, "So-and-so, go close that door, sheti kar, before I give you a clip around the ear," what's the chance of getting cooperation at a kid like that, right? But जब कि ठंड होंदी थोड़ी जी डोर ला दियो. It will be nice of you to do that. So, Patyake versus forcing versus being rough and tough about it. These are skills we already have, है ना? How we talk to each other, whether it's a child, whether it's another family member, whether it's a friend, how we speak to each other determines, I guess, the success of that or the outcome of that conversation, है ना? ਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਆਪ ਇਹ ਮਿਠਾਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੰਨੇ ਮਿੱਠੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਹਨ ਸੁਨ ਮਨ ਮਿੱਤਰ ਪਿਆਰਿਆ ਮਿਲ ਵੇਲਾ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ look how he's talking to himself. He's teaching us to speak to ourselves with that love. If we're able to speak to ourselves with love, it's going to be natural that we're going to be able to speak to the kids or our loved ones with that same level of pyar, hai na? We just listen to these words for 1 second. Sun man mitra pyarya, or beloved, friendly mind of mine. This is Guru Sahib talking to himself, hai na? Encouraging us to talk to ourselves in this manner. He does get rough and tough, Guru Sahib, as well sometimes. है ना? He'll call you मूर्ख, पर जे गुड़ चिड़के ता मीठा लागे. But more often than not, he's giving you a wake-up call, a shake-up. है ना? But more often than not, Guru Sahib's मिठास नाल कहंदे भी सुन मन मित्र प्यारिया मिल वेला है ए. This is the time to meet him. If you only knew how important it is and how in your hand it's ready to be so close to you. है ना? So, I think if we're having trouble to explain Gurbani to our children or to get them to read it, I wouldn't worry too much. है ना? It's Guru Sahib de hath vich ya. You should be more worried about how much I'm going to absorb it. Then naturally, the around you in your surroundings will get exposed to it too. Guru Sahib ne puchna hai, aap hi Guru Sahib ne puch sakde. Guru Sahib, minu ni mata aa rahi, main nyane ni mata aa rahi. Tusi aap hi bid banavo, aap samjhavo. And Guru Sahib he'll produce. And a year later, you'll be looking back thinking, wow, how we've come leaps and bounds where we were. And look at us now. Sachi Muchi Guru Sahib really did, have an effect on our lives. So the onus is on us to ask. Right? So I think we're going to close down unless anybody's got any other questions. We're going to wrap up by...
I was just going to say on that point about connecting our children to Gurbani. So I think going back to something Baji said earlier about building that relationship with Guru Sahib, building that pyar, and I think when we can start to implant that in our children, for example, the story of Baba Deep Singh Ji's Jeevani is so powerful that it just captures the heart and mind of a child, and we can attach the Gurbani through these Sakhiyaan because we know that Baba Deep Singh Ji was such an abhyasi, recited so much Gurbani, knew so many languages, was a master of, the warrior, being able to fight. And when our children see these qualities in our great Gursikhs, in our great Shaheeds, they want to be like them. So we can tell our children, let's do as many Mool Mantras as we can together so that we can be strong and powerful like Baba Deep Singh Ji, so that we can feel close to Guru Sahib. So it's making it really very personal for them, making them feel what Baba Deep Singh Ji was like and how they can become like these great Gursikhs. And so it's about building those connections between our children and these amazing Gursikhs that we have in our itihas, in our history.
So, in closing, we just want to reflect and focus on, like we did for Mantun Jot Swaroop Hai, which was let's say a 6 tuk wali shabad. It's a little bit long as well. This is only 2 tuk shabad. Jo tau prem khilan ka chao. If you have this desire to step on this path of love, sir tar tali gali meri aao, then put your head on your palm and come to me onto this path. The itmarg per tiri, once you step onto this path, sir dije, give your all, give your head, kaana na kije, and don't care what anybody else says. It's about you and the Guru at that point. So in ਇਹ ਤੁਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਰਿਫਲੈਕਟ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ as Baba Deep Singh did in the realist form that he possibly could. And then after that, it's going to be an answer. My benti is that we stay present for the ardas and the hukumnama, because quite often we've lost the importance of what the ardas and the hukumnama is all about. As we've done our reflection in today's darbar, whatever we've appreciated through Gurbani, we then collectively make this ask and benti before Guru Sahib that instill this in us. And Guru Sahib will reply to our request via the hukumnama. So it's important that we recognize how close every single one of us right now is to Guru Sahib and how much he is listening to our request. And when we make our collective ardas, it's such a powerful thing. That's why Purane Samay, if ardas was happening, nobody tried to matha take. Nobody would walk in at that point. Everybody froze where they are because everybody's utmost attention and concentration is so paramount to the success of the ardas that we don't want to break anybody's concentration. That means every single one of us, Sangat members, our ardas is true and heard. And when it's a collective ardas, it's so powerful. So let's not lose the importance of what the ardas is and try to leave before we've done all this talk. Like I said before, talk is cheap. Talk is talk, and nothing's going to really change unless we make a personal effort. And we stand before Akal Purkh and make that request, then that's when things begin to change. So when the hukumnama comes, that'll be a reply. Hopefully somebody will just quickly reflect in 2 seconds what the main chorus line or the main focus line of that shabad is, therefore what the overall message is, and then it'll be samapti after that.
जो तो प्रेम खिलन का चाओ सिर तर तली गली मेरी आओ जो तो प्रेम खिलन का चाओ सिर तर तली गली मेरी आओ जो तो प्रेम खिलन का चाओ सिर तर तली गली मेरी जो तो प्रेम खिलन का चाओ सिर तर तली गली मेरी इत मार्ग पैर तेरी जय सिर दी जय कान न की जय इत मार्ग पैर तेरी जय सिर दी जय कान न की जय इत मार्ग पैर तेरी जय सिर दी जय कान न की जय इत मार्ग पैर तेरी जय सिर दी जय कान न की जय जो तो प्रेम खिलन का चाओ सिर तर तली गली मेरी जो तो प्रेम खिलन का चाओ सिर तर तली गली मेरी जो तो प्रेम खिलन का चाओ सिर तर तली गली मेरी जो तो प्रेम खिलन का चाओ सिर तर तली गली मेरी इत मार्ग पैर तेरी जय सिर दी जय कान न की जय इत मार्ग पैर तेरी जय सिर दी जय कान न की राम कली महला तीजा आनंद एक ओंकार सतगुर प्रसाद। आनंद पया मेरी माए सतगुरु मैं पाया, सतगुर ता पाया सहज सेती मन वजिया वाधाइया। राग रतन परवार परिया शब्द गावन आइया। शब्दों ता गावो हरि के मन जनी वसाया। कह नानक आनंद होआ सतगुरु मैं पाया। हे मन मेरे तू सदा रहो हर नाल, हर नाल रहो तू मन मेरे दुख सब विसारना। अंगीकारो करे तेरा कारज सब सवारना। सबना गल्ला समर्थ स्वामी सो क्यों मनो विसारे। कह नानक मन मेरे सदा रहो हर नाले। साचे साहिबा क्या नहीं कर तेरा, करता तेरा सब किछ है जिस दे सो पावे। सदा सिफत सलाह तेरी नाम मन वसावे। नाम जिन कै मन वसया वाजे शब्द कनेरे। कह नानक सच्चे साहिब क्या नहीं कर तेरा। साचा नाम मेरा आधार, साच नाम आधार मेरा जिन भुखा सब गवाया। कर शांत सुख मन आए वसया जिन इच्छा सब बुझाइया। सदा कुर्बान पिता गुरु एटो जिस दिया वड्याइया। कह नानक सुनो संतो शब्द तरो प्यारो। साचा नाम मेरा आधारो वाजे पंच शब्द तित कर सपागै, कर सपागै शब्द वाजे कला जित कर तारिया। पंच दूत तुद वस कीते काल कंटक मारे। तुर कर्म पाया तुद जिन को से नाम हर के लागे। कह नानक तै सुख होआ तित कर अनहद वाजे। अनंत सुनो वड पागी हो सगल मनोरथ पूरे। पार ब्रह्म प्रभ पाया उतरे सगल विसूरे। दुख रोग संताप उतरे सुनी सच्ची वाणी। संत साजन पए सरस पूरे गुर ते जानी। सुनते पुनीत कहते पवित्र सतगुर रहया भरपूरे। बिनवंत नानक गुर चरण लागे वाचे अनहद तूरे सलोक। पवन गुरु पानी पिता माता धरत महत। दिवस रात दोए दाई दाया खेल सगल जगत। चंगियाइयां बुराइयां वाचै कर्म दूर। कर्मी आपो आपनी के नेड़े के दूर। जिनी नाम ते आया गए मशक्कत काल। नानक ते मुख उजले कीर्ति छुट्टी नाल। जिनी नाम ते आया गए मुशक्कत काल। नानक ते मुख उजले कीर्ति छुट्टी नाल। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। वाहिगुरु जी